everyone. Thanks for joining us again for Pro Bono Institute's Pro Bono Happy Hour. I'm David Lipscomb, Director of Strategic Communications for PBI. The Pro Bono Happy Hour is our new series of podcasts in which we highlight Law Firm Pro Bono Challenge signatories and Law Firm Pro Bono project members. In this edition, PBI Communications Specialist Yvette Crenshaw interviews Becky Troth, Pro Bono Counsel at Sidley, Austin. Becky talked to us about her firm's signature projects, balancing various pro bono projects, the firm's pro bono training opportunities, and much more. We were happy to get a chance to speak with Becky because Sidley Austin is the recipient of PBI's 2015 John H. Pickering Award, which will be presented at PBI's annual dinner on November 5th in New York City. For more information about PBI's annual dinner, including details about Sidley Austin's pro bono program, please visit probonoinst.org/dinner. We hope you're comfortable wherever you may be, whether that's mid-commute, on your lunch break, or simply working at your desk, and we hope you enjoy the interview.
So, hi, Becky. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks very much for having me.
Sure. Now, if you would just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and the pro bono program at Sidley, that would be great.
Sure. I'm the pro bono counsel here in D.C. Sidley has a pretty wide range of pro bono opportunities that it offers to all of its attorneys. It's kind of a hybrid program, so I'm the only full-time pro bono person, but we have 3 lawyers in Chicago. Denny Greenfield does the 1983 cases, and Emily Wexler and Kelly Huggins manage 3 of the firm's 4 firm-wide pro bono projects. So Kelly Huggins, who is now a pro bono counsel in Chicago, has managed the capital litigation project for the 10 years that we've been doing death penalty cases in Alabama. And she also manages the political asylum and immigrants' rights firm-wide pro bono project. Emily Wexler manages the Veterans Benefits Project. She manages it out of Chicago, but we have cases all over the country. We work a lot with the National Veterans Legal Services Program and with other veterans organizations in the various cities where we have offices. Kelly Huggins we work mainly with the Equal Justice Initiative on the capital litigation cases, and then on the political asylum and immigrants' rights cases, we work with organizations around the country in the various cities in which we have offices. And then Denny Greenfield works on the 1983 prisoners' rights cases, the appointed cases in the federal court in Illinois. And actually, Danny is full-time as well. Oh. So those are the lawyers who manage our pro bono work. And in addition to the 3 firm-wide projects I just mentioned, we have our 4th firm-wide project is the Africa-Asia Agricultural Enterprise Program, and that was started by Scott Anderson, who's in our Geneva office, and that's our first global pro bono initiative in which we provide legal services to growers and producers at the grassroots to allow them to get their products to market in the United States and Europe. So those are the 4 firm-wide programs. And then each office has relationships with a number of legal services organizations in the cities in which we have offices. So there are firm-wide projects, and then there are multiple other projects that aren't part of the firm-wide project.
Okay.
Or a firm-wide project.
Great. And how do you balance the firm-wide projects with, I guess, the individual lawyer efforts?
I don't think we do anything consciously to try to balance it. Certainly the firm supports the firm-wide projects with a lot of personnel and resources, and we encourage people to participate in those projects. But the idea of pro bono work, or the firm's idea of pro bono work, is that people should be able to work on projects that interest them and that they're committed to and that they're passionate about. So the firm-wide projects basically offer opportunities to lawyers to work on matters that they probably would be interested in anyway, and it just offers them the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't have any problem getting people to work on the matters in the firm-wide projects. Mm-hmm. And that leaves a lot of opportunity outside those projects as well to take on matters. If someone wants to bring a matter into the firm, they're certainly encouraged to do it. So there's a wide variety. We do almost every kind of pro bono work you can imagine.
Oh, great. Okay. And let me ask you how those attorneys are trained. Do you guys have a professional development program? How are they trained?
Yes, we do have professional development managers in each of our offices, and I can speak to the people here in D.C. who have been absolutely wonderful about including pro bono training in their regular courses that they offer to new associates and to other lawyers in the office. So when we do landlord-tenant training, that's managed, and we offer it here in the office. Our professional development, our training people manage that for me. So they take care of the handouts, and they set up the speakers, and so it's been just great to have that sort of support from the firm. So that's when we do training here at the firm with our different partners. So here in D.C. we work with the D.C. Bar Pro Bono Center. We work with Legal Aid Society, Bread for the City, Washington Legal Clinic for the Homeless, Children's Law Center, a whole variety of local legal services agencies. So, and we often offer so if we have a training here and we invite one of the legal services organizations to put on a training, we'll often open it up to other firms so that we can maximize the exposure and the training to as many lawyers in the area as we can. And then we also will support, if our lawyers are interested in a particular type of training, the firm will send them to the training if there's an asylum training or another type of training that we haven't offered at the firm lately. We'll pay for the attorneys to go wherever it's being offered and make sure that they get the training they need to do for the cases that they're interested in doing.
Okay, great. And I know that you're the first person to hold the title Pro Bono Counsel at Sidley, but prior to working at Sidley, you've had a healthy background in various sectors, including working for the National Law Center on Homelessness and Poverty, as well as working for the Department of Justice. How was that transition for you? I know that you also worked at another firm, correct?
Right. I worked at two other firms.
Okay.
So I clerked for a federal judge here in D.C., which is, of course, a great experience. And then I went to O'Melveny & Myers' D.C. office. And when I left there, I went to a small plaintiff's employment discrimination firm and did civil rights cases. The firm was called Springer & Lang and allowed me to get some background in civil rights, which then allowed me to go to the Justice Department and work in civil rights appellate for 10 years, which was a great experience, being able to go around the country and argue cases in the courts of appeals, affirmative civil rights cases, and it was a great experience to be able to stand up and say, Becky Troth for the United States. And then after that, I taught at American University for 2 years. I taught in their legal writing program at the law school.
Okay.
And then I went to the National Law Center on Homelessness and Poverty and was their legal director for 2.5 years before coming to Sidley.
Okay. And so I guess kind of working in the various sectors and then transitioning to pro bono counsel at Sidley, was it a hard transition? I mean, I can imagine that you had a lot of experience, so you were knowledgeable of, what's going on out there in the legal world. But I guess I'm just wondering how the transition was from maybe the government sector to the law firm world.
Well, I think it was helpful to have been in a big firm before and have a sense of how firms operate.
Sure.
So I think everything I did actually was sort of great training or great background for what I ended up doing. So I was in a firm and understood how firms operate, and I was in a plaintiff's employment discrimination firm, so I developed some expertise in civil rights, which I was able to develop more at the Department of Justice and also acquire some litigation appellate skills. Mm-hmm. And then going to the teaching was very helpful because I think my writing improved significantly by teaching and having to articulate what makes good writing.
Yeah.
And that sort of experience is very helpful in terms of supervising young associates on pro bono projects and sometimes reviewing their work if the supervising partner is not available. And then going to the National Law Center gave me a background in legal services organizations and what they face in terms of trying to get pro bono help and what they face financially and what their needs are. So I think all of this was great background for doing what I'm doing now.
Okay. And what advice would you give to someone maybe facing a similar challenge, or not really a challenge for you because you had a great background, but maybe someone who hasn't experienced working in different sectors and they're just moving up in their firm and taking on a pro bono position? Do you have any advice for someone transitioning?
Well, if that's what you're interested in doing, then I would think that getting background in different kinds of pro bono cases would be really helpful. Mm-hmm. I know a number of my colleagues started out in their firms as associates or in a regular associate partner track and then ended up as pro bono counsel. And I'm not sure exactly what their backgrounds were, but I would assume it would be helpful to get to know the pro bono, the legal services community. Sure. So participating in organizations like PBI and in the Washington Council of Lawyers and the D.C. Bar Pro Bono Center, getting to know your colleagues and other firms who have interest in public interest, I think is really helpful for becoming part of that community and understanding how it works, and forming partnerships so that when you want to work on a project or when you take on a new project, it's very helpful to have colleagues in other firms that you can call on for advice and support. And in D.C., we have an incredibly supportive pro bono community. The pro bono council coordinators meet and partners meet once a month, and we discuss the various issues that we're facing, and it's an incredibly supportive group and made my job certainly much easier. And that's one way, to become a pro bono counsel and then be part of that group helps you transition from whatever you were doing before to doing pro bono full time.
Okay. Now, I know you guys meet up, and like you said, it's kind of like a support group. Do you guys celebrate your attorneys at all? How do you acknowledge them?
So in D.C., we have the Vince Prada Pro Bono Awards, and we started doing that 9 years ago when I got to the firm. Vince Prada was an attorney, was a partner who had worked for 14 years on a death penalty case and was very committed to pro bono. And a few months after that case ended, he died tragically in a car accident. So the firm had always thought that it wanted to name the pro bono awards after Vince Prada, but I think it took somebody coming to the firm as a full-time pro bono counsel to actually take the time to figure out what the pro bono awards would look like. So we decided that we would give pro bono awards to everyone, to all staff and lawyers who devoted at least 60 hours to pro bono in the prior year. And the thought was that we could then honor everyone who made that sort of significant commitment without sort of making anyone feel like one project was more important than the other. And I think this is particularly important because the Sidley, one thing I'm very proud of Sidley for is that we feel a real responsibility to the community in which we have our office, so that we think it's important to support the D.C. Bar Pro Bono Center and do SSI cases and landlord-tenant cases and family law cases. And the cases that affect the individuals living in our community, which is a poor community where there are a lot of people struggling. And so our pro bono award ceremony doesn't sort of highlight the Supreme Court victories. It honors everyone who has made a commitment to pro bono. And at the pro bono award ceremony, we then have a speaker come, and we've had some great keynote speakers over the last several years. So we've had Stephen Bright from the Southern Center for Human Rights and Brian Stevenson from the Equal Justice Initiative, and we've had Patty Malahi-Fougere from the Washington Legal Clinic for the Homeless and Robin Maher from the ABA Death Penalty Representation Project. And this last summer we had Ron Flagg, who is the former Sidley Pro Bono firm-wide chair and who's now the general counsel at the Legal Services Corporation, and he gave an inspiring keynote address on the importance of access to justice issues and the work that we do here in D.C. And then one year we actually had a client, Bruce Kulick, who was the general counsel at Merck, and who basically made pro bono an integral part of the legal department at Merck. And he came to speak at our pro bono award ceremony, which is great because when you have a client talking about corporate client talking about the importance of pro bono work, that sometimes has an effect on people who don't normally think about doing pro bono work. Yeah. So we've had so our pro bono award ceremonies have really been meaningful, I think, to the people here who do pro bono work, and they know how much we appreciate the effort they've made. Our Chicago office also has a pro bono award ceremony named after Tom Morsch, who's a partner in Chicago, who was a pro bono leader in the Chicago legal community, and they honor those people who have significant pro bono accomplishments over the last year. And our Los Angeles office does the same thing, honoring those people who've made a significant pro bono contribution. So at least 3 of our offices have pro bono award ceremonies where we recognize the importance of pro bono.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. And this is the perfect segue into PBI's upcoming annual dinner, where you guys will be receiving the 2015 Pickering Award. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks very much. We're very excited about it, and it's especially significant to me as a Michigan grad that the firm is getting an award named after John Pickering, who's one of the University of Michigan Law School's most illustrious alums or graduates. So it's a great honor, and we're all very excited about attending the dinner.
Yeah, and we're excited too. Now, I know that you guys work on plenty of projects, as you mentioned earlier, but I want to touch a little bit on the capital litigation project. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. This was our first firm-wide pro bono initiative, and we should have Kelly Huggins on the phone because Kelly manages the program and knows more about post-conviction procedure in Alabama than probably most people. So Kelly's managed that program since the beginning. It's about 10 years. And the program started when Robin Maher from the ABA Death Penalty Representation Project came to Chicago and, along with judges from the Seventh Circuit, talked to various law firms about the importance or the need for representation, the need that death penalty prisoners on death row in Alabama have for representation. And John Gallo, who's a partner in Chicago, spearheaded the effort, and the firm decided that we would start off by taking 3 cases and representing 3 clients on death row in Alabama. And the reason Alabama was chosen was Alabama puts more people to death per capita than any other state in the United States, and it has a pretty flawed death penalty system. There's no public defender, and elected judges can override a jury's recommendation of life in prison and instead impose a death sentence on someone that the jury thought should not get the death penalty. Mm-hmm. So we thought the situation in Alabama was pretty compelling, and over the years we took more and more cases, and at this point we actually have 18 clients on death row in Alabama. 6 months ago we had 20 clients on death row in Alabama, but 2 of them, one of them actually, after we represented him for 8 years, he was released after the state agreed not to retry him, and so I think he was in prison for 15 years and then went free in April. And then a couple weeks later, another one of our clients on death row in Alabama had his sentence reduced from capital punishment to life in prison. So in the last 6 months, we've had 2 major victories in our capital litigation project, and it's great because it shows the importance of having really good lawyers who care about their clients and the difference they can make in ensuring that justice is actually done.
Right. Now, these are very time-intensive and research-intensive cases. Are the death penalty cases a hard sell for your firm?
No, they're not. I mean, the firm. I wasn't there at the beginning when the firm made this commitment, but I think the firm decided early on that this was an important thing for our lawyers to be doing. And once it became involved in the project, it really committed all the resources that are necessary to do these cases effectively. So we've been sending lawyers down to Alabama. We hire expert witnesses, investigators. We go down and interview witnesses and talk with our clients and go down for hearings. So the commitment in terms of time and resources is certainly very significant, and I think it's incredibly impressive that the firm has done this. It's not been a hard sell to get lawyers to work on these cases. We have enough lawyers in the firm who are interested in capital punishment, death penalty issues, who really see this as a great opportunity to use their legal skills to help people who otherwise would not be represented. We represent 10% of the individuals on death row in Alabama, so we're having a big impact, and I think the lawyers who have worked on these cases have found them to be very satisfying and made them feel like this is why they became lawyers.
That's remarkable. Well, Becky, I want to thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you speaking with us today about your pro bono program and learning a little bit more about your experience in the world of pro bono and just the legal world as well. So thanks again for joining us, and congratulations again on that award.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and I should thank PBI for all it's done over the years to make it so much easier for all of us to do pro bono work and all the support that it's provided over the years.
Again, that was Becky Troth of Sidley, Austin. We thank Becky for spending time with us, and we congratulate Sidley Austin for their exceptional pro bono work. To listen to more podcasts in this series or learn about additional pro bono resources, visit www.probonoinst.org/podcasts. If you're interested in having your firm featured on the Pro Bono Happy Hour, please email us at probono@probonoinst.org. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again next week for the Pro Bono Happy Hour.